What's up, everybody? Welcome to ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. We've got a loaded show. Scott, what's on the show today?
We have Naughty Dog's next game being talked about, Lords of the Fallen's length. We'll discuss Destiny Commander Zavala moving forward, Modern Warfare 3's console launch, and a little bit of a confusion there, and Netflix has a controller app.
Let's dive in. Scott, topic number one is a hot one. Could take the entire show away on us. Who knows? Neil Druckmann confirmed as writer-director on Naughty Dog's unannounced PS5 game. No big surprise there, really, at the end of the day. This is Michael Harrodance over at PSU. Neil Druckmann has revealed on his Instagram page that he's the writer/director of Naughty Dog's unannounced PS5 project, although this probably won't come as a surprise given his involvement in pretty much all major projects at the Sony-owned studio the last few years. Naturally, this will have people speculating as to what the new project is, a new IP, or the long-rumored The Last of Us Part 3. We know that Naughty Dog is working on something for PS5 beyond its The Last of Us multiplayer spin-off, but something else has been confirmed at this point. But nothing else. Neil Druckmann has acknowledged that fans want a new entry in The Last of Us franchise, although he stopped short of confirming whether this is indeed Naughty Dog's new project. However, he did previously reveal that he feels there's more story to tell in regards of The Last of Us. As mentioned, The Last of Us Part 3 has been rumored for some time now, with the reports claiming it will introduce 5 new characters and will also bring back Ellie in a major role. That the as yet unannounced project is reportedly set to launch on PS5, but also has PS6 in mind. Whatever Naughty Dog has up its sleeve for PS5 next, we'll just have to wait until Neil Druckmann and his team are ready to spill the beans. Scott, let the speculations begin.
Spill the beans on Instagram is an interesting venue to be hinting at things here, but I'm wondering, is Last of Us Part 3, is it going to be like a Half-Life Part 3, where it's just kind of always in the future a little bit? Never actually comes to fruition, and
that's man, no. I'm calling it no. We will get a solid, concrete Last of Us Part 3. I don't think it'll be next. We're still waiting on the multiplayer side of it, right? We heard Bungie, the team behind Destiny, came in and took a look at it and goes, this isn't going to keep people invested for a very long time. And when Sony now is on the rise of this games of service model, that's what they're looking to do with The Last of Us multiplayer, and I am so down for that. Man, I am in. Like, at that point, Scott, you're gonna need to get a PlayStation 5, right?
Yeah. By then, I really should have. There's no excuse at this moment.
That's because it's like 2 years out still. I'd like to see something sooner, but that's what they're working on currently, right? The unannounced project still goes in the back of my mind of, well, they are rumored to be working on a fantasy project right now as well. Neil Druckmann's involvement on that wouldn't be surprising whatsoever, right? He kind of oversees everything over at Naughty Dog, and you need somebody to kind of overwatch everything and get into and make sure that, it has that Naughty Dog touch, that Naughty Dog feel. And when you talk about Naughty Dog, they're held at such a high level over at Sony and over at PlayStation that people just recognize that name worldwide, especially now with the launch of The Last of Us on HBO and his major involvement over there as well. So now you start to see Neil going, okay, yeah, I'm working on something. We kind of figured that, Neil. Like, yeah, we're glad you're there. That's, I think, the biggest point is that he's still there, right? We heard Evan Wells is retired. He's leaving the studio, which is unfortunate. But we do have Neil still kind of holding down the fort, and dude, I can't wait for them to be able to talk about it. But I also want to talk about, dude, what is going on with The Last of Us multiplayer?
Yeah, I can't even recall the last time we were given some official information on it, other than just hold off. It is still in development. That's really the only thing we've heard. Was it Gamescom last year with Jeff Keighley? Oh, was it then? Right, could have been a full year ago. Yeah,
I think
Gamescom
was
coming up. That would be the 1 year, I believe.
And Neil comes out on stage. We get a couple screenshots and says expect more next year. Well, it's next year. We haven't seen squat. So that kind of hurts. But we'll see if they're hopeful. Man, I just want them to put it out and be solid, right? Have a good multiplayer game. We've been waiting forever. If we take a look, Scott, at the list, The Last of Us launched in 2013. From there, The Last of Us Part 2 launched in 2020. The Last of Us Part 1 remake, remaster, the remake of the remake of the remake, launched in 2022. When do we get something next, then, out of Naughty Dog? With the multiplayer, like, is something we did touch on. I think that lines up. When we take a look at this year, we're not getting it this year, right? Like, we're getting Spider-Man. That's the biggest thing coming out of PlayStation next. Do they line that and push that up into 2024, then? They have that going into next year.
And I would expect a lot of marketing to come forward eventually when we get within the year of release, because it's just a ginormous studio with enough budget to put out marketing.
Absolutely.
And The Last of Us being such a title open for the masses because of the television show, this really is the opportunity. I think everybody will know the moment it has a release date. And the pressure just keeps rising for a leak, and that's not how I want to see the information come to light.
No, I'd love to see a state of play with new PlayStation content and then end off with whatever Naughty Dog team is working on next, right? End off with don't even give me a teaser trailer, because I feel at this point they've been working on it enough to give me a full-fledged trailer to, hey, this is what we're working on next, and get ready, because it's coming soon. I think that's the other side of it too, right? When do we see this? Yeah, 2020. So that was 3 years ago now at this point. We're going to be moving into 24 here in the next few months. And that has put Naughty Dog on a hiatus for about 4 years. 5 years for anything new. We also did expect that multiplayer to be out by now, which we hadn't. If Neil's working on this next project, what are the odds, Scott? It's Uncharted.
Oh, that'd be interesting. Yeah. When was the last Uncharted release?
2017 was the last release, and it was Uncharted The Lost Legacy, which was the DLC. They did do Drake's collection. That's what it was. It was the Drake collection you could get, and we reviewed that on the show. Dude, it's a great collection to have. But what's the new stepping stone for Uncharted? Or have Naughty Dog just completely moved on? Yo, bring us Jack and Daxter back.
Oh, there's an idea.
I don't think they're going to work on that as much as I'd love them to. I think what we do see next, besides the multiplayer for The Last of Us, is this fantasy game. And hopefully Neil's heavily involved on that, and see what kind of story is being told that way. And then we get the next iteration on The Last of Us. Maybe something new, or Uncharted after that. That's my prediction.
It's very, very interesting if it was something new. A whole new cast of characters for The Last of Us makes sense because there's such a ginormous universe to pull from. But are we ready to leave the beloved characters in the past?
Well, no, we're not, right? But we also, when's the last time we played Drake, right? Like there's been so many years since then too, and we love those characters for so long, and man, it was just, what a story being told that way. And then, but we've seen them grow and expand and then move into The Last of Us and have a new form of storytelling, which is another, again, fantastic way to go. There's so many questions right now. Hopefully we see something soon, more than just an Instagram tease there, Neil. Scott, topic number 2 is something that's been on my radar, but scares the living bejesus out of me, as it's Lords of the Fallen new gameplay. Game Plus mode has been confirmed, and the length is roughly 30 hours. Michael Harridan's over at PSU says Hexworks studio boss Cel Gascon and the creative director Cesar Vertuzzo have revealed during an interview with MP First that Lords of the Fallen will feature a new Game Plus mode option and weigh in on how long players can expect to put into the upcoming fantasy adventure game. Gascon revealed that he thinks the game will last around the 30-hour or more mark in terms of length, with Virtuoso mentioning the tutorial takes about an hour and a half. Thus, I have some 30 hours or something in playtime. Gascon then added 30 plus more or less, but depends on various factors, like how bad you suck at this game, which would be me, so I'd probably double this in length. So
this is going to be it's set to be a difficult Souls-like game. Yeah, it's definitely a variable length.
Absolutely. On top of this, the New Game Plus, we have quite a few surprises waiting for players. Just a brief one that you have the ancient vesties that are always there. They are present. You have one of the vestige seedlings that you can build yourself. So, New Game Plus mode, there is also one ancient vestige. Jeez, man. All of these others are out, and it's in the hub as the vestiges you want. You want to build it yourself. That means majesty of the environment itself. Dude, that was a confusing little paragraph out of there.
Yeah.
Take it with the English is not their first language. We'll build off of that. But dude, Lords of the Fallen has been dormant for a very long time. This is Lords of the Fallen remake coming out on October 13th. Woo! Man, October's heating up, right? Coming to PS5, PC, and the Xbox Series. So, are you looking forward to this?
I am, yeah. This is one that I kind of not ignored, but I didn't really take the first one very seriously.
Sure.
And now everything I've seen, the promotional material for this game has the excitement building and building. So to hear that New Game Plus is added, that's a very big deal for any Souls-like kind of game.
Yeah, absolutely. I do. When you talk about their promotion, I think their promotion on Lords of the Fallen have really come around well. Like, it's even kind of piqued my interest a little bit, even though I'm probably not going to play it just because I'm not that Souls-like player. It's just I don't have the time to bash my head into a wall for hours on end.
You're not nearly a masochist enough to get into those games all the way to the end.
No, absolutely. I'd probably jump in within the first hour. Like, probably wouldn't even make it through the tutorial if I'm being honest, right? So it's just not my style. An hour and a half, dude. That's a holy what a tutorial that is. Should I be taking notes? Like, it's
yeah, it makes me think of the Tears of the Kingdom and that tutorial island, but that was more of a sandbox.
No, absolutely. But yeah, when it leads up to the promotional kind of gameplay reveals they've been doing, like, man, like, this game is gonna hit. I think Lords of the Fallen is really gonna connect with a lot of people. It's lined itself up where Lords of the Fallen 1 came, it just kind of, it felt like it came and went. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it didn't have that je ne sais quoi.
Yeah, absolutely. It didn't have that connection or that staying power where I think the Lords of the Fallen is going to fill that Elden Ring role this season for players to get into, and everybody's going to be talking about, hey, this is your next Dark Souls, Demon Souls, Elden Ring experience that you've been looking for. Right now, there is no Neo, there is no Elden Ring. Elden Ring DLC has been, you know, in the rumor mill. We'll see when that comes out. But as of right now, I think this is lining up to be the fall Souls-like experience that you're going to be seeing a lot of people cover.
Oh, is it going to measure up to Elden Ring? Only time will tell.
Scott, topic number 3 is a bit of a touchy one, as Keith David will succeed Lance Riddick as Commander Zavala in Destiny. Jordan Miller over VGC. Veteran voice actor Keith David, dude, never two first names. You just don't trust people like that, do you? That's rumors.
Oh, which one are you today is always the question.
Will succeed the late Lance Riddick as the voice of Commander Zavala in Destiny, Bungie has announced. Riddick, who voiced the character since the game's inception, passed away in his home in Los Angeles in March at the age of 60. Now the studio has announced its plans to continue the character in Lance's absence. Quote, the passion and professionalism Lance brought to the role over the last decade was unmistakable and loved by all, wrote Bungie in a blog post announcing the news. Dude, I just got goosebumps. Like, man, losing Lance was just, that's a shot not only to Destiny, but to our industry, right?
A big splash, yeah.
Absolutely. Quote, Lance's iconic voice led us through the most intense moments in Destiny's history, and his impact on our Guardians, our community, and Bungie as a whole will never be forgotten, end quote. Quote, Commander Zavala has been central to the story we have been telling since the original Destiny, and we have plans to continue his journey, end quote. Beginning with the upcoming expansion, The Final Shape, Keith David will assume the role as Commander Zavala. Critically, Bungie notes that Riddick's existing in-game lines will remain untouched. Dude, that's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, I've had a lot of curiosity for how they were going to continue forward. Would it be AI, some sort of sound alike? And I think I appreciate where this decision actually.
Absolutely. Speaking on the change, Keith Davis said, quote, "I'm honored to continue the great work of Lance Reddick as Zavala. Lance captured the character's sense of integrity so wonderfully. He is also intention. It is my intention to continue that work," end quote. Scott, I'm curious to see what the difference is, right? Because we know, this is a big one here. Metal Gear Solid, Snake's voice changed.
Yeah.
Right? And everybody was like, yo. Now, granted, that was a bit of a weird maneuver altogether, and it wasn't in the case of somebody passing like Lance, right? So they have to fill this void. How do you do that? Well, you have to bring somebody else, or do you continue, like you say, with the rise of AI and opportunities that's bringing around? Maybe they can rework it that way. But bringing in Keith Davis sounds like it could be a good move, and maybe just kind of change things up a little bit, and don't lose that touch of where Lance has kind of placed his own character on Zavala.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not such a fan of AI coming into the industry, and I prefer this maneuver instead. I think this is much better. With maybe a lesser known voice, this could have caused an offense.
Sure.
But this actually turns out Keith David is the voice of Arbiter. So well versed in the video game industry.
Yeah, he's definitely been around a while, right? So he knows his stuff. So I wouldn't be too concerned, but it is nice to see that role continued on, even if it is in the memory of Lance. Scott, are we leaving the PS4 and the Xbox One behind? As confusion arises over whether Modern Warfare 3 is coming to PS4 and Xbox One. Chris Scullion over at BGC, as spotted on Twitter by YouTuber Gaming Revolution, the Xbox page for Modern Warfare 3 only lists the Xbox Series X and S as the game's planned platforms. However, Gaming Revolution also notes that the official PlayStation YouTube account has posted that Modern Warfare 3 teaser trailer with, quote, PS4 and PS5 games in the headline. So it sounds like just a little bit of a mix-up there, Scott. The video also includes the hashtags hashtag PS5, hashtag PS5 games, hashtag PS4, and hashtag PS4 games. So I think there's just something going on over at Xbox where they missed this, dude. What do you think?
Yeah, it seems to me like that's just a slip. Somebody didn't hit save or something. I didn't really consider the situation because I have the Series console.
Yeah.
I just kind of didn't think much of it. But the game has been in development for a short time, but likely with a lot of the assets that's been used for years now to develop these games. So it would make sense that we can continue to keep it on Xbox One, at least now. We are going to have to leave those consoles in the dust eventually.
No, absolutely. I think it's coming. Right now, I think it's too early to cut the loss of PS4 and the Xbox One. The install base is just too heavy, right? Like, that's the thing. There's millions. Oh, man. PS4 is 110 million users. So, like, you don't want to leave that audience behind. Not all of them have been able to move on to PS5. So they're still going to go with last gen and keep a current gen, obviously, too. But yeah, it's just at one point or another, we're going to have to move on. We're now hearing rumors of, the PS5 Pro, the Xbox Series, whatever the next step is for that one. We're talking about taking out the disc drive now. There's a bunch of little things kind of happening right now. But at one point or another, PS4 and Xbox One, dude, are just going to be left behind.
Oh, it's strange, though. You're going to have to keep that base, but at the same time, you could drive sales to the new consoles with something like Call of Duty. That's ginormous. So it's interesting to see how long it'll take.
What do you figure? If you're predicting, do you figure next year's game, or is it the year after they cut the loss of Xbox One and PS4?
I think it's going to be next year's game. The idea that we're still holding on in this one, we're 3 years, nearly 4 into the cycle. Yeah. I think it's time.
Time will tell. Scott, Netflix. Dude, it's always curious to see what Netflix is up to as they launch game controller app on mobile. Sophie McEvoy over at gamesindustry.biz. Netflix has launched a game controller app on the App Store for iOS devices, suggesting that plans for a cloud gaming service may be taking shape. The Netflix controller app will let subscribers play games on their TV using a gamepad interface. According to The Verge, launching the game through the app prompts users to connect their device, but currently displays, quote, Netflix games on TV are in beta, end quote, with potential device support limitations. As of writing, there's no set date for when compatibility between the app and TV will become available. Netflix declined to comment on the report when GamesIndustry.biz reached out. Last October, Netflix announced it was, quote, seriously exploring, end quote, its own cloud gaming service. Scott, Netflix is changing things up. I think we're going to get into the Netflix/Stadia scenario.
That's the only way I can see it is this is a Stadia finding a way to live on in a strange, suppressed way. I want to know if my Stadia controller will connect.
Well, that's just it. If they're tapping into not only mobile games, because we're seeing them rise into, well, with Night School Studios bringing over Oxenfree 2, right? Not only can you play that on Netflix, but you can also play it on your PlayStation and your Xbox. So as they buy up more and more studios, because we're seeing them gobble up a couple studios at this point, and work into not only the mobile side, but the console side of things. If they go with console, do we have controllers? Let me just connect my controller to the TV somehow and play that way, because I don't want to play with the controller app on my phone. That's just uncomfortable, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's an interesting third part just to have the phone in there to go between.
Yeah, absolutely. I get launching it that way. That makes a ton of sense. But if you want to allow me to get into the game, then maybe they start bringing in larger games, not just mobile games, right? Like, I mean, like Naughty Dog style games, like that kind of weight behind it. Yo, I think, dude, you can take. I predict in a few years we're gonna get an announcement from Netflix of a AAA game coming to the Netflix platform, and you'll be able to stream it. And then that way, by that time, they'll work out this app. That will be taken care of. But you'll also be able to connect your controller, because they all know as a console player, yo, you've got controllers kicking around, right? I've got PS5 controllers. I've got Xbox controllers. I've got a Stadia controller. Rest in peace. And then all these other options are there, right? They're all available. Why not allow me then to be able to connect, just like Stadia did back in the day, and tap in and then play in your library? Not only am I watching on your service, but now gaming on your service too. Like, there's an opportunity here, and I think Netflix is gearing towards that as they start to buy up more and more studios.
Maybe a little bit more modestly, I would like to see Telltale-style games brought over. And I'm not sure if that can happen because of legality, licensing issues, and is the source material on Netflix already? There's a lot of complication to it, but well, I think those games would play out well.
It's fun. Well, Scott, if we aren't busy enough playing so many games already, there's a few more to add to your list. What are they today?
We have Way of the Hunter, Tikkamon Plains coming to PC, Xbox Series consoles, and PlayStation 5. House Flipper is now available on PlayStation 5 with the PSVR 2. Bright Lights of Svetlov is now on the Xbox One and the X. And Space Mechanic Simulator is on PC. That's an interesting simulator.
Certainly is. Well, that'll wrap up ITG Daily, everybody. Thank you for hanging out with us. And as always, we cover the hottest in gaming news here. We'll be back again next week. It is Friday, so make sure you have a great weekend and lots of gaming. Until then, I'm Drew, that's Scott.
And we'll see you inside the game.